What's up guys, welcome back. We're here in my studio in Sydney and today I'm going to show you how I made my song Smoke Machine. I'm just going to show you a couple different versions along the way. This is what it was actually called Pop to begin with. Here's one version. So you can hear some elements are there. The pop 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 is there. Version.
The smoke machine blows a room.
So you can see some elements are there, but it's totally different. So my process of working is every time I make changes, I kind of bounce it out and save it so then I can come back to it later. And then I check later on if what I've done has actually made it better or if I prefer the older version. So you can see all these different versions here. It used to be called Pop, and then I called it Rabbit Hole, and then finally I came up with the vocal and then I called it Smoke Machine. So let's jump straight into it. So the main element that was there the whole time was the pop sound, the pop, 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 pop. And here it is here. So the loop I originally made was, let me show you. So this was the original loop I made. And then from there I put that into the original sound. I can't remember, I think it was a tom or something. But the reason why I put it back into a sampler here was so I could control how much the reverb was on. So you can see I can really get in there and adjust the decay and sustain again. From there's a little bit of, I use drum bus from Ableton plugin, some saturator, EQ'd out some nasty frequencies, and then I've EQ'd out some more nasty frequencies. So so that's the pop sound. And you can see also the pop sound, what I do is with each main element I kind of limit that by itself. So this one, you can see it's got a limiter on it, and just about -4, -3 dB of gain reduction there. So the aim of the game is to make sure everything's kind of limited before it gets sent to the master, and then by the time everything's in the master, you don't actually need to do too much compression or limiting. The next element, let's open up the bass. It's a pretty important part of the track. So for the bass, it's actually just the main bit is one layer, and I use this synth a lot. It's called Strobe by FX Expansion, and I've used this exact patch so many times in tracks. It's called BA808 style. So it's got a really nice knocky attack and sounds really cool. It's got heaps of color to the sound, and you can add more of that top harmonics or bring it back down. So it's a really cool sound that I've used a lot. The MIDI, if you want to steal the MIDI, super simple pattern, very common bass house pattern. So then obviously there's also this other little bit in the bass. that, I've used Kickstart, and I made an 808. It's basically an 808 kick, which is then pitched up, and you can see I've adjusted this the pitching here. So over time it pitches down a semitone. A whole octave. And then yeah, it does it at. So there's the MIDI for that. And then I've got both those going into a group. I've got LFO tool doing the side chaining. Super important thing with the side chain is you can hear when it's side chaining there's that click. To get rid of that, you just move the LFO tool slightly to the left and you can see it gets rid of it. So if every channel had a sidechain on it doing that, you end up with like a super messy track at the end. So make sure you're watching like those kind of clicks and stuff. Let's move on to the kick drum. The kick drum, I'm sorry, there's not much to actually show you in this project because it's a kick I've used before in a project. So it's just like a nice thumping kick. I try to use the same samples a lot to keep like a general theme. This kick is it's really nice. You can hear there's like a top element, kind of like a grit sound. For this track there's obviously a little bit too much, so I just EQ'd out that top bit so you can see with, and then with it on it's just way too like knocky. So I haven't boosted anything. There's no lows boosted or anything. I didn't need to in this case. I've also put a utility and I've just monoed the entire kick. So sometimes I don't mono the entire kick all the time. Sometimes I just do the lower frequencies. This time I've done the whole kick. Let's jump into the lead, which is quite fun. Where are we? Sorry. Okay, so yeah, this lead on the drops is a serum patch, and it's playing the root note of the track on the drop, which is A flat. So this patch is like a lot of fun macros to play around with. So here's the patch. It's actually called LD Kid Sauce, and you can see I've got a lot of nice macros. So this top one controls the pitch, the overall pitch, and that LFO is attached. This LFO1 is attached to it. So when I move this first macro, and then I've also got the LFO rate, so when I am holding the note I can which I think I just used for the build-ups, that bit. The other thing I've done in the MIDI is drawn in some pitch. So you can see the pitch here, it's not exactly straight. It kind of like wobbles around at the start. It goes and then wobbles down at the end. So it's not as predictable as just like a straight note. So here it is by itself. And you can see the MIDI that I've drawn in is like this. So that the bit at the end where it's like do 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 is drawn in here by that. And then the second time around it's slightly different, just to give a bit more variety. Do 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 do. So there's that sound. I've got LFO tool, again doing the side chain. Again I've made the a little bit on the right, just a little bit to the left, so it's not making that clicking sound. Then afterwards, I've put guitar stomp. What have I done? Okay, so I use this guitar pedal for to give it a bit more vibrato. So you can see it's like wobbling around the pitch. Really cool plug-in. You can also do like the tremolo with the volume. Super cool waves plug-in. What else? And then just EQ, that's for a filter. So you can see again, really not much processing. Most of the work's done in the sound with the distortion and this dimension expander here. I wanted this sound to be super dry though, that's why there's no like reverb or anything. The vocal, so the vocal again, I tried heaps of options. So then I ended up just recording my voice, which I hate recording my voice. But this is what it sounded like originally.
The smoke machine blows a room. Smoke machine blows a room. Smoke machine blows a room.
So that's me trying to sound cool. Obviously it sounded crap. I knew I was going to like either pitch it down or up. I played around, I pitched it down like 4.
The smoke machine blows a room. The smoke machine.
This wasn't cool enough, so then I thought maybe if I go up.
The smoke machine blows a room.
I thought it sounded real funny and quirky. So I pitched it up 6. 6, there's no magical number, I just did it till I was like thinking where it sounded best. And then what I did was I took 3 similar takes and I pitched one left and one right and lined them up just slightly off a bit, pitched them all up as well, just to make like a thicker sound. So
Smoke machine. The smoke machine blows a room.
and I grouped all those. And what do we got? We got EQ, taking out the lows. I always put the EQ first to take out the lows, so you're not messing around with the lows and then trying to take them out again later. Reverb, that's off. So I'm using Valhalla for reverb. Just a
Smoke machine blows a room.
tiny bit to give it some space. I didn't want it to like drowned out. CLA vocals, I'm using this for compression, to add more treble, and just like making the lows that are there now, just like it just kind of boosts them a bit and makes it sound more fuller. And then I'm using this CLA bass. I think that's for distortion. Let's see.
Smoke machine blows
Yeah.
a room. Smoke machine blows a room.
So I'm just using that for distortion. It's got a nice growl setting.
Smoke machine blows a room. Smoke machine blows a room.
It's pretty cool. Tiny bit of
Smoke
delay.
Smoke machine blow. Smoke
And
machine.
then I've put a limiter on there. I was probably going to
Smoke
go
machine blows.
smash it, but it's actually not doing anything. It's just sitting there. So that's it. Hope you learned something. As you can see, it's a pretty simple track, but to get to this point took me a lot of hours, like probably 50 or more, maybe even more. A lot of trial and errors, a lot of like playing it in the clubs just to make sure everything was sounding right, and I was happy. So don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to be doing videos every week.